Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nordic Sound, live from Midgardsblot. As always, I'm your host, Jameson Foster, and today I am joined by the lovely Mathias Dahlsveen of Vanvidd, one of my favorite folk metal bands in recent years. They just played a gig 2 days ago at Midgardsblot, and it was a killer show. And so we're going to talk to Mathias today about sort of how he came into folk metal, how Vanvidd came to be, and how he approaches this genre that can sometimes get a little campy and a little stale, right?
It's true.
Yep, it is. And that's kind of part of why I love it. Sometimes I really need to embrace the camp.
Yeah. There's no shame in that.
There's no shame, sometimes I need to put on Monty Python and just enjoy myself.
I mean, one of my biggest what do you call it, guilty pleasures is like turbo folk from the Balkans. So
Sure, and you see my outfit, so clearly I'm not.
I'm no stranger to cringe.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, Mathias, something that I love about Vanvidd is how, over time, across your discography, I would say your first album is the most straight up folk metal album, and then as it's gone on, you've definitely developed a sound that is uniquely Vanvidd, and it is a unique approach to this genre that can get stale. And so, I guess before talking about how you approach or how you view folk metal as a style of metal, I would love to hear about how you got into folk metal in the first place. Like, what was your gateway drug?
The gateway drug was really black metal, I guess.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so that's where it started, and probably Vanvidd and Tåke, of course.
Oh yeah.
They do mix some folk elements that aren't typically like campy folk.
Yeah.
So people don't typically think of it as folk metal because, like you said, folk metal can get a little bit kind of hallmarky. in a sense that sometimes it gets into just like Renaissance fair music with chugging guitars in the background. But I prefer to, incorporate the folk melodies in the riffs and make it a little bit angular and then cool. Do something a little bit different that catches people's attention.
Yeah, cool. No, so I agree with that completely because, and that's, I think, folk metal hit like its golden age, I would say somewhere around 2010. And then it sort of got stale after that. And I feel like that's because of this hallmark effect, where if it's just the same formula over and over again, you can only do the same thing so many times, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes sense to me that your gateway into it was actually the black metal that incorporates these folk elements instead of just taking a folk melody and slapping some power chords on top of it. Were there any folk metal bands that you were listening to, or was it just straight up black metal and then you started?
Pretty much just black metal, but I'm not really into folk metal personally. I do like some Moon Sorrow, some some Fintroll maybe.
Yeah, Fintroll is.
But my my personal favorite band that mixes folk and black metal is a Swiss band called Ungefähr.
Oh, okay, excellent, cool.
I don't know if you heard of them.
Yes, listened to them a few times. A smaller band, yeah.
I think they really get it because they do it in a very tasteful way, and I feel like they sort of picked up where bands like Vanvidd and Tåke kind of left off, and they do their own thing, and they're not LARPing as anything. They're just doing.
Okay, fine.
God damn it! I mean, because very often bands from other places will incorporate Norse mythology.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking there's a lot of untapped potential in other countries as well. It doesn't just have to be this one thing.
Oh, yeah.
So Ungefähr does a lot of just like Swiss myths, and they're kind of like us in the sense that it's not like really old mythology or anything. It's just like local fairy tales.
Yep.
And that's where it started for Vanvidd as well. We're kind of playing with the framework of 19th century
Yep.
romanticism, but we're not retelling the stories as they are in the Asbjørnsen and Moe
Yep.
books. It's usually with our own spin, and there are usually no happy endings. So, unlike our shows, well, I mean, we give happy endings. Kind of the thing with Vanvidd, it's like you use the traditional framework and then reframe it in a way, because I think that's an important part of having an oral tradition. So Vanvidd is kind of like, at least the first 2 albums were just like straight up stories that we've made up or have been inspired by, from 19th century romanticism to like the Ivo Caprino stop motion stuff.
Yep.
From the mid 1900s.
Yeah, that was actually part of what really attracted me to you guys in the first place, is because I don't know if I've told you this, but my gateway drug into Nordic music in general wasn't just like the heavy metal and all that, but Edvard Grieg and Ole Bull and the Golden Age Romantics, and the way that they were, especially Grieg's piano pieces, the way that he would just name them after like the Huldra or the Nuck or the Puck, and he would just write these really enchanting little piano pieces that were just inspired by the thing without it being literally a folk melody. And so when I found that there was a folk metal band also really into like that age of romanticism and fairy tales, that's part of what adds to your guys' character, because you are right, the mythology is normally where people go first, right? But the folk tales, I just think, I agree, have a lot of really untapped potential. And I don't know if this interview is going up before or after the one I did with Mio yesterday, but we actually ended up talking about the same exact thing.
Oh, you did?
Because Mio also, they used, they were telling us, not to spoil it, depending, this is my podcast, I don't give a shit. They do talk about how they use trolls in their song Solen Gorned as an allegory to just the homeless in the cities. They actually they use these fairy tale creatures as parallels to modern day problems. And I think, and now what we're talking about, this is now apparently just like a recurring theme with how your generation is like using these fairy tales in a different way.
I'll have to look through our discography and see if I can find any lyrics that can be interpreted as doom scrolling. Just
musical doom scrolling.
Yeah, just to tie it to the problems that we have today, just like digital dementia.
Was it anything in particular that drew you to those fairy tales? Because I will say that not a lot of people at roughly our age like just get into fairy tales and trolls and things like that. I was wondering if there was anything. I mean, I know you mentioned the stop motion and stuff, but anything that drew you to it in particular?
I think it started for me by having these stories read to me by the bedside by my grandmother, and I mean, it gets you scared, and it lasts. So, I mean, to this day, like when the sun goes down and I'm walking alone in the woods, I do feel like there are 1,000 eyes staring back at me, and there's something out there a bit more dangerous than me in the forest. And that kind of paranoia is something we try to work into the music.
Musical paranoia is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to actually like using the folk music in your songs and stuff like that, I know you already mentioned that you like to do it in a more subtle way than is typically done in folk metal. But like, how do you engage with folk melodies or just folk dances in general when you're actually going about songwriting? Is there anything in particular? Like, I would just love to hear more about just the actual songwriting process of writing this extreme metal that is also paired with this 19th century folk spirit, I guess.
That's really a better question for our guitarists who are sadly not here. But I think it's just natural for them to play that way because we're Norwegians. We grew up in Norway. The band is a Norwegian concept. We didn't start doing lyrics in English until this new album, which was more of an experiment anyway. So I think it flows naturally from our environment as opposed to trying to shoehorn it into something. And I think Vanvidd is kind of colored by that fact. It doesn't feel forced, at least to me.
Not at all. No. Next, I would want to ask you, like, so clearly you were a musician, and then you also have this love of the folktales and all of this. When does the idea of Vanvidd come around? Like, and how does it come around?
Probably around 2010 or 2011. Our guitarist Emil and the original guitarist William, they just hung out in his little dingy apartment, like a basement apartment, as teenagers, drinking moonshine, listening to metal, and just being extreme teenagers.
Yeah.
And they wanted to explore. They wanted to start a band, as you do when you're that age.
Yep.
And then they started this like blues folk thing.
Okay.
And they tried a couple different lineups, didn't really work. And then they started to incorporate black metal into that. So it started as just like a blues rock folk band.
Okay.
And then they were like, screw this, let's do black metal instead. And the band was called Pinnestein at the time, which means stick rock.
Excellent.
Pretty shitty band name, but it's a good punk band name.
It is.
And then they renamed it Vanvidd in 2013. I was playing a show with another band. We've never actually released anything. It was just a teenage band. So I was doing doom at the time because mostly I'm into the slow, dirgy stuff.
Hell yeah.
And I was just at a rehearsal one day, and our singer didn't show up. So we just started. I just started screaming into the microphone over some kind of 4-chord tremolo pick riff, and they were like, "You can scream," and I was like, "Well, I've never thought of myself as a singer, and I kind of still don't.
Yeah.
But I can at least shriek a little bit." And then we were playing a gig, I remember, on Halloween in 2013. And Emil came up to me and was like, "I hear you can sing." And I'm like, "Not really." He's like, "Do you want to be in a band?" Sure, why not? And that's basically how it started.
What does Vanvidd mean?
Frenzy or insanity.
Excellent. That plays into your costuming. I don't know if you like that I'm calling it costuming, but like the first thing we noticed, you have the one white eye contact in, and just the whole. Alyssa was also commenting that it was just like so simple but effective. Is just and now that you're telling me that's what the band name translates to, which admittedly I didn't know before I just asked you, like that, you guys have an aesthetic, and and I think it helps. It's simple and effective.
Yeah, it's really difficult to do our costumes because you if you go on like Etsy or something, some web page, usually you find stuff with like Viking embroidery and stuff.
Yep.
And our era is, I don't know. It's not like the Viking era, but it's like from the 1300s onwards.
Yep.
And we wanted to look kind of timeless, and like we just tumbled out of the forest.
Excellent.
So it's supposed to be kind of like undefinable, like which era is this? And I hope we nail that.
No, you did. No, it was just great. I mean, like, and I will say, not just because you're sitting here talking with me, but that was one of the standout sets just of the festival in general. So and as I said, you guys had the difficult time slot of having to wake everyone up on a Friday at 2:30.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised that people could actually run in circles to our stuff early in the morning.
Oh, it was excellent.
Like after not too much beer.
Yeah.
Just one for breakfast, and then you're ready to go.
Just real quick, we have a visitor, the Borrepus cat. Oh. This is the best way an interview has ever been crashed. You gonna hang out here?
You can hang out.
This is gonna be awesome. Yeah, cat butthole fresh to the camera. Oh, yeah, we can take a minute to just do this. Is this your log?
He's like, "What are you doing at my log?"
Do you have any opinions on folk metal? You look ridiculous.
He has no idea what he's gotten himself into.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent.
I almost inadvertently murdered him the other day.
How?
He laid down in our camp, and I couldn't see him, and I almost stepped on him.
Oh
And
no.
and I still cringe thinking about it because I'm like, oh my god, I almost killed
Oh,
this car.
that's the feeling. Yeah. With with our bird, there are sometimes where for birds you can preen them for them, like they have pin feathers that you can get, and there are some times where you can get it a little too close to the skin, and he'll yell out this little and for the rest of the day I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he'll bite you the rest of the day if you go anywhere near him. He's like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, for the rest of the day, he's just doing the Cartman thing that you
Yeah,
told me
yeah.
about.
Yeah, fuck you.
I love that you taught your bird to talk like Cartman.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. It's excellent.
How many episodes of South Park did that take?
Oh no, so he doesn't do the Cartman voice. We give him that voice when we talk for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when we talk for him, it's just hard not to, because he's such a little shit eater sometimes that he just has a little, as parents are. That's what we. Yeah, and then especially when he's hamming it up, he's just like, I love you guys. The same way that when he does something shitty in an episode and pretends to get everyone to forget about it.
Yeah. When he's not being anti-Semitic.
No, for a second I thought you were talking about the parrot. Yeah, when our parrot isn't being anti-Semitic, he's a pretty sweet guy. What were we talking about before the cat came up? I swear we were talking about was the costume? No. I just said, yeah, we were just talking about getting people to dance at 2:30. Yeah.
It's a thankless job.
It is a thankless job getting people to dance at 2:30.
It is.
Yeah. So where should I go? I mean, the cat was a very welcome interruption, but now I forget what the flow was, which is fine.
We can take a moment, ground ourselves.
Yes, ground ourselves again. Hello, ground. Did you feel like you had anything more to say about just the way you use folklore, or you feel like you?
I would say it's not traditional storytelling. Mostly, it's like I was talking about with the oral tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Vanvidd is kind of like imagine you're in 1840 and you're hanging around the campfire.
Yep.
With you've stolen your neighbor's moonshine and you're with your friends and you have like one of your friends' jock older brothers who's also a bit of a dickhead starts telling spooky stories around the campfire. Yep. And it's not exactly like PG-13. It's a bit more R-rated than what you would read in the books.
Yep.
That's kind of what Vanvidd is, or at least used to be.
Yep.
before we became all sullen and serious on this
and
last
symphonic. Epic. Yeah, I mean, because that's something also, because that is a time period that I very much love, is directly, as much as I do love the Viking Age and all that, the people who listen to my podcast have heard me talk 1,000 times over about how, like, when people look at Scandinavian history, they either look at the present or they go all the way back to the Viking Age and skip everything in between. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I feel like it's unfortunate, because there is so much potential in this whole, especially the time you're talking about, like the late medieval and then going into the early modern period of just like, there's a lot of, when Christianity was first mixing with paganism, and you got some of the trippiest stories out of it, and people were having to like reconcile the new Christian faith with like the older stories that they couldn't give up because it was part of their culture and their heritage. Is like, that's to me when like humanity, or at least European history, was at its trippiest, and especially with like the crazed and the ripped up costumes and all that, the peasantry. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's somewhat schizophrenic, and I think we try to.
That's a great word. I'm stealing that from now on. Thank you.
I think we try to reconcile that, and that influences in music, that kind of friction between the old myths and, holy fuck, we're Christian now? What do we do? Kind of like, I imagine that's what it must feel like to be Bosnian, because they were kind of like, you're given the option between Islam and moonshine, and you're like, yes, please, I'll take both.
And because, yeah, schizophrenic is a great word for it, especially because, like, if you look at the ways that a lot of people also underestimate just how pagan a lot of those 19th century folktales are, where you can find parallels in a lot of those old troll stories with a lot of the myths, like the recurring theme of the troll builder, where in the mythology it was the giant that was building the wall for Asgard, and then this Viking Age myth continues into the 19th century as a myth where just someone agrees to have the local troll build a church, and then they ultimately trick him into. The whole thing was, if I learn your name, then I don't have to pay you, and I can kill you. So then the priest would always trick the troll into, or the troll's wife into telling him his name. And there's
it's like a reverse Rumpelstiltskin
yeah,
situation.
Yes, it is, and that's an excellent example of like how these, even though these folk tales come from deep within the Christian era, they have these very strong parallels to mythology and pagan times as well. And that's a schizophrenia that is not always as easy to cut out as just yelling "Hail Odin" around a bonfire.
Yeah, exactly. We try to avoid that as much as possible.
Well, you're doing great. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah,
Fortunately.
man. Yeah, so let's talk about the new album, Avlivsritualer.
Yeah.
Didn't butcher that too badly.
No, you didn't.
All right, cool.
It's pretty
Excellent.
good.
Excellent. Cool. So this one I notice is I use the word more symphonic. It's more grandiose, a little bit more epic, but that's what I like. I don't always love seeing the same sound come out of a band over and over again. And so I would just love to hear sort of how you guys were approaching going into this more melodramatic, or like, definitely the black and death metal was definitely more present, at least for me listening to it. So yeah, anything you would like to say about going into this record compared to your older ones?
Basically, for me, I feel a little bit silly on stage when we're doing the drinking songs and the old stuff that, well, gets people moving. It works very well live, but I do feel a little bit like I'm putting on a character when I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And
doesn't feel genuine to yourself, or
no, I mean,
not
I would
so
have
much
I
so,
would have
yeah.
to be in a particular mood, and usually before we play, I'm like extremely anxious, and like when I'm in a bad mood and I gotta get on stage and I'm supposed to do like jolly music, it's it feels a little
Through
bit
your teeth.
worse. Yeah. Just like trying my best to keep it together here, but when I noticed that when we're playing the songs from the new album that are like really sincere, I really like give it the gas a lot more. So step on the pedal, and it inspires me more.
Yep.
If it's related to your own life and your own struggles, then I feel like it's something I can get behind.
Yep.
And it's something I told the entire band as well, that I would like to explore like darker directions.
Oh, yeah.
With the band from now on. And on this newest album, there are no shanties. And
Yeah, I noticed there were no shanties.
And everyone was really happy with it. I think all of us agree that it's our best one to date.
No, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'll always love the older ones like False Agreement and stuff like that whenever I need a jauntier tune.
Yeah.
But as I said, and I always tell people this, whenever a band comes out with an album that sounds different, I'm like, this doesn't mean the old album doesn't exist anymore.
That's
you can
true.
go back, if you want it, you can go back and listen to that, right? So
yeah. If people don't like the new one, are like, bring back the old stuff. It's just like, yeah, you can just go listen to it.
Yeah, it's right there. It's already there. That's why it's old stuff,
Yeah, and the first album, as much as it's
There's a bloody hobbit in the wood.
Yes. Hello.
as much as I look back on that and I feel like, oh man, we were really like hadn't turned 20 yet at this point. And
God, make me feel old. All right.
It's like it has a certain naivete in a sense.
I think new bands need that.
Yeah, and at the time we were just rehearsing, well-rehearsed teenagers in a studio, had no idea how a digital audio workstation works. We didn't know what tempo mapping was, and we had so many like changes of like meters and tempos. So we just had to do it live. And like the backbone of that record is recorded live, which is why it like trips over itself sometimes.
I love it though.
Yeah, and I like the record for that reason, that there's a lot of push and pull in the music, and like the release when when a certain part hits is human. There's friction there.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate about music these days. Is it's often very frictionless.
I have used that exact word dozens of times on this channel, this podcast, because it's, we could get into a whole thing about click tracks, and like it's on one hand, like I get the appeal, especially if you have a very orchestrated thing, but there is something to be said about just how sterile things can be when there's no push and pull. I've noticed with some bands playing here, I won't name them because it also doesn't take away from the fact that they're excellent bands. You can tell that when the click track that's in the ears actually gets in the way of that natural push and pull that they want, because you can hear the drums start to speed up, but then they have to correct the click track, right?
Yeah.
And that can be frustrating as a musician when you do want to push it a little bit or pull it back a little bit for the expression.
Because of our orchestration, we had to do that this time around. And I noticed just doing it all with the click track on the ear is it's a little bit of a pain. I mean, of course, everything will be tighter and you'll have a better show, but you'll have a better show, not a better performance. So there's a bit more show, a bit less performance in a sense. And I think with this new album, we made the demos first, and then we did rehearsal tapes, and then we tempo mapped them after the rehearsal tapes.
Yeah.
So that we can still like get a decent production, but still have a bit of that push and pull. And some people have said that this album feels a bit more live, in a sense.
Yep.
And there's a bit more like ad-libbing and screaming and stuff. So it does, like, I wanted to give the impression that we're on stage doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Because, as I said, we could go on forever about click tracks and just sterile production. Because not only, you were talking about, Tolka and early black metal, they'll just nothing will beat not only how analog it was, but there was no metronome.
Exactly.
They were just fucking wailing on the, like, I know they've recorded them in Greek Holland, or a lot of the bands recorded them in really nice spaces, but, like, you could tell that there was no click track when they were recording in the 90s, because you definitely hear them get off many times. But at least for me, I think that makes it better, because you're like, oh, these are humans playing music.
When they get off, we get off.
Yep.
So,
I just love how you slip those in. Do you have any opinions on click tracks?
he's blissfully unaware.
Blissfully unaware. God, to live that life. Has no idea. And is better, all the better for it.
He is.
Yeah. So anything else about Avlivsritualer in general? Because I also noticed, maybe for me, the folklore stuff we were just talking about seems to be less front and center. But it seems like you were exploring other topics and other themes as well.
More personal struggles, basically.
Yeah, you told us at the show about your best friend that watches you at night or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I have this thing where it's like I'll stay up at night because it's difficult to fall asleep because I get this like chaos in my head where I'm like, if I fall asleep, something terrible is going to happen. I'm going to miss a message from someone that somebody I loved had a heart attack or some stuff like that. And well, as soon as I'm in a horizontal position, the gears start turning, and I'm not allowed to sleep. So I made up this character in my head who is like cursed to guard the night while all of us are asleep, and it ended up turning into like a weirdly Jesus-ish figure. So maybe our next album is going to be a gospel album. I don't know, because it's like the person who carries your sins while you sleep in a sense.
Yeah, interesting.
Just like takes the pain of the world like upon himself, and all of our burdens become become his, so that we can sleep soundly and not worry about anything.
Wow, that's good. That was Deep in These Wounds, right?
Deep
was it
in
that
These
track?
Wounds.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was a great example of what you were just saying, where it feels more genuine to yourself when you're doing these other tracks that actually feel more emotionally relevant to how you're feeling, right, or your headspace. Because at least watching you can, I could tell when like the things were a little bit more cathartic and they were like actually resonating with you as you sang. Because as you know, as a performer, when it resonates with the performer, that is going to mean it will more likely resonate with us too, because then we're all sort of like in this resonance together of all sort of feeling it, and that's kind of what makes music magic in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And that's what I'm chasing, because the last thing I would want to do is feel alienated from my audience.
Yeah.
Which is why I hate the word fan. I prefer a listener.
Really? I'm just genuine to hear about the fan thing. Yeah?
No, really, like putting people on a pedestal is never a good idea because it just
No, yeah, for sure.
it will just fuck up your own mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh my god.
if there's a musician that you love and respect, and you meet them finally, and you're not on equal footing, it feels kind of weird.
Yeah, Alyssa's gesturing at me right now because so many times I'm like, oh, do you want to meet this band you like? And she's like, I'm good. And to me, I'm like, why wouldn't you? You love their music. Why don't you want to go meet the person that makes the music you love? And it's for what you're...
Yeah, what if they're a shithead and you're just like,
which has happened. Which has happened. And I'm like, well, I guess this is my fault at this point because I pushed that. But no, what you're saying, I mean, like, this is... I've seen so many crash outs online about when people find out that Einar Selvik isn't really a Viking.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what we're getting at is parasocial relationships, essentially, and there's a lot of danger that can happen. Like, I've seen some very serious crash outs of when that illusion gets broken between performance persona. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where he has to do a disclaimer every show.
Every show. But some people still don't.
No,
You know?
it'll just go in one ear, out the other.
Yep.
And they're just like, no, this guy lives in a cave. I will adore him until the day I die.
Yep.
He does not eat, sleep, or shit like the rest of us.
This is excellent. But no, I think what you're on is, and I think that makes sense why you made that fan audience distinction, is because, yeah, there is a risk of putting people on the pedestal, because then also for the performer, that puts a lot of pressure. Is like, because we're human, what about when we inevitably make a mistake? Or when we fuck something up? Like when someone gets someone else's face tattooed on them that they love, this is an immediate example, and this is completely not related to music at all. But there's a very famous fly fisherman in the United States who has he is literally like the Jesus of fly fishing. And someone phoned into his podcast asking for permission to get his face tattooed on their thigh.
Wow.
And this is an old guy, and he was like, well, you never know if it might come out that I'm a total piece of shit, so I would just refrain from putting anyone's face on you that you don't know, because then, you know, that's on you for life. And it's even funnier coming from an old guy who's clearly like, who needs a tattoo? But on the other hand, he's like, why in God's name would you put my face on your thigh?
And that's the right attitude to
Yeah.
have. Also, Fly Fishing Jesus is a really good band name.
Ooh, ska or bluegrass?
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass for
Definitely.
sure. Okay.
Fly Fishing Jesus.
So I don't know if you know this. I kind of live in the current bluegrass mecca in the area right outside Denver in Lyons, Colorado, is where a lot of the festivals are based out of. And so I should definitely go copyright that real quick.
You need to, as
Yeah.
fast as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we've gone completely off topic right now. We had to, but is there anything else you want to say about Avlivsritualer that we haven't covered, or?
No, I think we've about covered it.
Cool, awesome. Then I guess, yeah, anything else that you want to say, just I guess before we wrap up about the band, like I don't know, maybe you want to talk about tours, or like maybe the best place to support you guys? I think, because a lot of people, when they get into a new band, they want to know, like, because currently the fuck Spotify wave is on the up and up.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's good. So where can people go if they want an alternative way, I guess, to like support a band like you?
Well, just follow us on social media, basically.
Yep.
On Facebook and Instagram. We're not on TikTok or any of those
Good.
smaller thingies.
It's good for your health.
I think so. I mean, we don't want to become a doom scrolling band. I think that's also a good song name. So Fly Fishing Jesus with doom scrolling band.
Yeah, this is good. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think we are going to wrap it up at this point. I didn't want to
Let's
hold you.
do that.
I didn't want to hold you here for too long. But I do want to say, for whatever my opinion is worth, for you guys who listen to my podcast, please check out Vanvidd's latest album, as well as their older albums as well. I have had the immense pleasure of getting to know Mathias over the last few days, and I really hi. Have to get a picture of the gnome. But as I was saying, I've had the immense pleasure over the last few days of getting to know Mathias. They're wonderful guys. Thank you for doing this, man. Come here.
I love you, dude.
Yeah, I love you too. Friends for life. I love coming to these festivals and making friends that I know I will have for a very long time. So please check out Vanvidd's music. They're great. And then also
the Camp Kitty.
made this video attractive. Well, no, you're a pretty guy, so never mind. So it was the cat and you. Actually, you guys kind of have the same complexion.
White and gray.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
with
it.
with the hair.
All right, and we will cut it there. See you guys in the next video.